In this video, I'm going to share with you the top 3 Kilo 141 class setups for Warzone. So hopefully you guys like these class setups and enjoy the video. So yo, what's going on, ladies and gents? My name is Arbuckle. Welcome back to another video. Today we are once again back on Call of Duty Warzone, and I wanted to share with you guys the top 3 best class setups for the Kilo 141 assault rifle. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the best rushing class setup, the best defensive class setup, and the best overall class setup for both of those game styles. So hopefully you guys are able to do well with at least one of these classes. And so let's jump right into it. So we're going to start off with the rushing Kilo 141 class setup. If you guys take a look at the stats that we're going to get with this specific class setup, you guys will see that we get a really nice boost to accuracy as well as a nice boost to range and mobility. We end up losing a little bit of control here, which obviously isn't going to be that big of a deal considering this is meant to be played with very aggressively. So if you guys take a look at the attachments, we're not going to be using a muzzle. We're going to stay away from the monolithic suppressor with this specific class setup because we are playing super aggressive with this. The suppressor isn't necessarily going to be worth it, and we're going to run an attachment that's obviously going to be much more worth it. So we're leaving off the muzzle. We're also not going to be using a barrel. The laser that we're using is the 5MW laser. So this is going to give us hip-fire accuracy as well as sprint to fire speed, giving us a nice boost to accuracy and mobility. Having a laser is going to be really important because a lot of your gunfights are going to be really close quarters since this is an aggressive class setup, and we want to be able to hip-fire and be able to get those first shots down. So again, the 5MW laser. We're not going to be using an optic. The stock that we're using is the FSS close quarter stock. So with this, we're getting aim down sight speed as a pro, giving us another boost to mobility. So again, that FSS close quarter stock. The underbarrel that we're using is the Commando foregrip. So this is going to help with all 3 main attachments here in Warzone, giving us recoil stabilization as well as aiming stability and a nice boost to accuracy, range, and control. Now keep in mind, guys, here in Warzone with an assault rifle, aiming stability is a completely useless pro, so I would not recommend running that on any ARs, for all that really does is help idle sway, which you're not going to have with an assault rifle anyway. So Commando foregrip, a really good underbarrel to rock with. The ammunition that we're running is the 60 round mag. This is pretty much a given with every single weapon regardless of the playstyle that you have. Having those higher round mags are really, really important in Warzone because it does take longer to take people out as well as you have players that are going to go down. So the 60 round mag. And last but not least, the rear grip that we're going to use is stippled grip tape. We're going to get more aim down sight speed with this, but the main purpose of this attachment is to get that sprint to fire speed. So you guys will see that we get one last boost to mobility here. So again, that stippled grip tape rear grip. So I'll give you guys one last look at all the stats and attachments that come with this specific class setup. Again, a rushing class setup for the Kilo 141 assault rifle here in Warzone. The next class that we're going to jump into is the defensive Kilo class setup. So this is meant to play extremely defensive, obviously with a very nice boost to accuracy, range, and control. We end up losing a ton of mobility here, but like I said, we're playing extremely camp-like with this thing, so mobility is not going to be an important factor. If you guys take a look at the attachments, the muzzle that we're going to be using is the monolithic suppressor. This is going to be really important, especially if you are playing defensive, giving us sound suppression as well as damage range and a nice boost to accuracy, range, and control. So again, the monolithic suppressor muzzle. The barrel that we're going to be using is the Syngard Arms 19.8 inch Prowler. So you guys will see that we get a massive boost to accuracy, range, and control with this, obviously giving us damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control as our pros. And trust me, this is a really, really good attachment to play really long distance with. So again, that Syngard Arms 19.8 inch Prowler. We're not going to be using a laser, not necessary with the Kilo if we are playing a little bit more defensive. Only time that's necessary is if we're rushing. The optic that we're going to be using is the Solo Zero Optics Mini Reflex. So for a really defensive class setup for pretty much any weapon here in Warzone, I would recommend running a scope. This comes down to pretty much personal preference. I know a lot of you guys like using different optics here in Warzone. Personally, I like sticking to the mini reflexes. So the Solo Zero Optics Mini Reflex is what we're going to be rocking with this class setup. We're not going to be using a stock. The underbarrel that we're using is the Commando foregrip. Always a really great underbarrel to go with in Warzone, giving us that recoil stabilization as well as aiming stability and a nice boost to accuracy, range, and control. Like I said, guys, just disregard the aiming stability pro. The main purpose is the recoil stabilization. So again, the Commando foregrip underbarrel. And last but not least, the ammunition that we're going to be running for this specific class setup is the 60 round mag. Like I said, a very, very important attachment to use with every weapon that you're running in Warzone. Obviously, not all of the weapons are going to have 60 round mags, but you always want to try to go for those higher round mags. So 60 round mags, the way we're going here. And I'll give you guys one last look at all the stats and attachments that come with this specific class setup. Again, a very, very defensive class setup for this Kilo 141 assault rifle. So last but not least, I want to share with you the overall Kilo 141 assault rifle class setup. This is going to be really good for not only playing defensive like most people do in Warzone, but it's also going to be able to do much better from close range than that overall defensive class setup did. So this is really just an olive cart Kilo 141 class setup that every one of you should be able to do really good with, regardless of your play style in Warzone. What you've been watching throughout the video is just a little bit of gameplay of me demonstrate what these weapons play like against some veteran bots. Obviously, I understand it's a little bit different using them in Warzone since it takes a little bit longer to kill people. However, I just wanted to give you guys a feel of exactly how this weapon is going to play, how quick it takes people out in a standard game, and just overall, just to give you a scope of what this weapon looks like. So if you guys take a look at the stats that we're going to get for the overall Kilo 141 class setup, you guys will see that we get a massive boost to accuracy and range. We get a very small boost to control here, obviously not enough to really make a difference, and we only end up losing a little bit of mobility. Now again, in Warzone, mobility tends to be a stat that is overlooked, and rightfully so, not a very important stat to really have in Warzone, so that's not that big of a deal, but nonetheless, a really good class setup for this Kilo that hopefully you guys are able to dominate with. So if you guys take a look at the attachments, the muzzle that we're going to be using with this class setup is the monolithic suppressor. Obviously, like I always say, one of the most important attachments in Warzone, giving us sound suppression as well as damage range and a nice boost to accuracy, range control. We end up losing a decent amount of aim down sight speed with a lot of these attachments, but like I said, in Warzone, the map is very big and a lot of your gunfights are going to be medium to long range, so not that big of a deal. But again, that monolithic suppressor muzzle. The barrel that we're going to be using is the Syngard Arms 16.6 inch SOCOM. So we're using this for damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control, giving us a really nice boost to accuracy, range, and control. Now with the defensive class setup, we ran the Prowler, which obviously will give you more accuracy, range, and control. However, because we want this to be an overall class setup and still be able to be quick and do well from close quarters gunfights, you guys will see the Prowler, we end up losing a lot more mobility. So we're going to stick to that 16.6 inch SOCOM. So that is the barrel that we're going to be running here. We're not going to be using a laser, again, leaving that off of all the class setups except for the very aggressive ones. We're also not going to be using an optic. One thing that you may notice when watching a lot of Warzone videos or just players that you play against in Warzone, running an optic is not always necessary and is kind of turning into the meta. A lot of people are saving that attachment slot and using other things that are a little bit more beneficial. Having the optic is always great, but I think that overall in Warzone you don't need it, and you can definitely use an attachment that's much more worthy here in Warzone. So no optic here. We're also not going to be using a stock. The underbarrel that we're using is the Commando foregrip. So like I said, with pretty much every class setup that I run in Warzone, the Commando foregrip is always a fantastic way to go, giving us that recoil stabilization as well as aiming stability and a really nice boost to that accuracy, range, and control. Keep in mind, guys, aiming stability, like I said 3 times already, completely useless, but the recoil stabilization is definitely worth it. So again, we're rocking with the Commando foregrip underbarrel. The ammunition that we're running is the 60 round mag. Like I just said, pretty much a guarantee here in Warzone. A lot of people ask, why not run the 100 round drum? The issue with that is that we end up losing more mobility, and overall, I just don't think it's worth having on there. It slows you down a lot, and 60 rounds is plenty in Warzone. 100 is going a little bit overboard and can be overkill at times. So I think the 60 round mag is definitely just easier to work with here in Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Warzone in general. So again, the 60 round mag ammunition. And last but not least, the rear grip that we're going to be running is rubberized grip tape. So you guys will see that with this, we get recoil control as a pro and another really nice boost to accuracy. This is actually an attachment with this class setup that you guys will notice a huge difference when it comes to your aim from long distance. So rubberized grip tape, always a really great way to go with ARs here in Warzone. But I'll give you guys one last look at all the stats and attachments that come with the overall Kilo 141 class setup, aka the a la carte class setup. If you guys have any questions or anything else to add about any of the class setups that I share with you in this video, please make sure to leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to try to help some of you guys out. But I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see all you guys in the next video.